Hello, and welcome to our video guide for the Blink and Mirror Arrow Summoner, popularly known as BAMA. The Mirror Arrow is a bow skill that simply creates your clone in a targeted location, while the Blink Arrow also teleports you to it and leaves the clone behind. The transfigured Blink and Mirror Arrow greatly empower the clones, turning them into a fully fledged minion build. The Bombarding clone uses a skill similar to the Rain of Arrows, and it is your main source of AoE clear. The Prismatic clone uses a special version of Elemental Hit, specialized in single target damage. Each type has a limit of 3 clones, but you can mix them for a total of 6 powerful minions. The important feature of the clones is that they use your own bow and quiver, which allows many different approaches to scale the damage. There are a lot of combinations possible, but the Crit Lightning variant is the best one for both low and high budgets. The Necromancer Ascendancy provides a mix of generic damage and defense. Your minions will deal more damage and attack faster, and having a corpse nearby will improve their damage further, as well as weaken your enemies. Your minions will also leech life for you, which provides a very strong source of recovery. The limiting factor is that prismatic clones can choose a fire, cold, and lightning type at random, and can deal damage only of that one element. It converts all physical damage into that type, but any added damage from other sources will be discarded. The Bombarding clone can deal damage of any type. It is a life-based build. You will have a high chance to evade or suppress incoming damage, while the damage reduction comes from the Necromancer Ascendancy and Doppelganger Guy's armor. The playstyle is also very safe. Your clones can target enemies from very long distances. The clear speed is great and effortless. Your minions will automatically aim at enemies. The damage against bosses is also excellent, and all the utility spells can be automated with Arcanist brand. The build is simply very strong, so you don't need expensive items to get started. It is an excellent league starter, but keep in mind that most summoner builds use the same items, so you will have a lot of competition on the market. The only necessary items are the pair of combat-focused jewels. Other items are recommended, but not mandatory for the functionality. The Ancient Skull makes using the Spectres or Animate Guardian very hard at first, but the amount of damage it grants can easily justify it, and it also makes the build more accessible. Combat Focus is a very important set of jewels. It disables fire and cold hits of your prismatic clone, allowing you to fully specialize in lightning damage. They can be obtained by vendoring one uncorrupted 20% quality gem with prismatic tag and 2 rings, topaz and ruby or sapphire, depending on the variant. The Ancient Skull causes your minions to hear whispers, which grants them 50% increased damage and attack speed, but they take powerful chaos damage in return. It causes your Spectres and Guardian to easily die at first, but it won't be that problematic with better investments. Doppelganger Guise is the best defensive armor for this build. It provides a large amount of damage reduction and life regeneration, while still allowing you to invest in evasion or energy shield. At first you can use the Fleshcrafter armor to allow your minions to ignore elemental resistances. It doesn't grant you any defense, but you can use the Enfeeble Curse to weaken enemies instead. This option is exclusive to the Mercenaries of Trathus League. You can give this armor to your mercenary and lower his resistance to negative values without dealing with downsides by yourself. With this amulet, your minions' hits will be lucky, which rolls their attack damage twice. It is very valuable for the lightning type, famous for its high range of damage. In the Mercenaries of Trathus League, you should give this amulet to your mercenary. The Jinxed Juju is a very good amulet that empowers your auras and redirects a portion of your incoming damage to your Spectres instead. Use it once your Spectres have no problems surviving in maps. The Grand Spectrum is a great boost for your minions' critical damage. Although the best results are reached upon reaching the limit of 3 jewels, equipping just 2 of them can be noticeable. Fortress Covenant Jewel simply increases the damage of your minions by a great amount and grants them a chance to block incoming damage. The downside does not apply if you socket it in the Cluster Jewel. With this jewel, you can get a lot of chaos resistance. It is not very important to have at first, so don't rush it if you don't have the budget for it. Due to the prismatic clone limitation, you can use only lightning or physical damage types for your minions. Your weapons are quite typical for a bow attack archetype, while the rest of your gear are usual summoner pieces. It includes bonuses for minions damage and attack speed on your jewels, rings, and gloves. Your main defense is high maximum life, evasion rating, and spell suppression. Look for a rare bow with the highest critical strike chance and lightning DPS you can get. Later on, you can craft it using Essence of Fear to get the minion damage modifier on top of that, but it can be quite expensive. On the rare quiver, look for attack speed, flat lightning damage for attack, and critical strikes. The crafted critical strike chance modifier comes with frenzy charge generation for your minions as well. On the rare gloves, look for high maximum life, spell suppression, and resistance or dexterity. You can craft the minion damage modifiers using Crafting Bench and Eldritch Influence. The boots are purely defensive pieces. Look for the same modifiers as your gloves, but replace minion modifiers with movement speed. It can also grant you immunity to freeze or lower the cooldown of travel skills. The bone rings can roll special minion modifiers that grant them damage and attack speed. You will also need plenty of maximum life, resistance, or attributes here. On your belt, seek tons of elemental resistances and maximum life. The Hunter influence can be used to raise your life even more. Always use the Stygian Vice belt to get additional socket. The Abyss Jewel can add lightning damage for your minions and increase their damage or accuracy. Make sure to get at least one modifier that grants your minions a chance to inflict blind and taunt on hit. The notables on cluster jewels are not great. You should opt for increased effect of small notables with additional bonuses on them. Ideally, you should aim for 35% increased effect with 3% attack speed, but lower rolls with extra defensive bonuses are more budget-friendly. This flask is your only source of recovering energy shield in combat other than avoiding taking damage, granting you an extra 500 to 1000 effective life during fights. It is especially good with the doppelganger armor. For your remaining flasks, we recommend a defensive set that grants you evasion rating, movement speed, phasing effect, and lowers the effect of curses. Remember to get the bleeding removal on your life flask. Mirror Arrow creates a clone in the targeted location. The bombarding clones uses an area attack based on the Rain of Arrows skill. Blink Arrow teleports you to the location and leaves a clone behind. You can swap those gems by vendoring them with an Orb of Alteration. The Fresh Meat is an optional support gem that grants an insane amount of damage, but the buff lasts for barely 3 seconds, meaning you would have to refresh your minions as soon as cooldown allows for it, which is neither realistic nor enjoyable to play. Grace is a defensive aura that grants you a bonus to your evasion rating. You can also use Haste instead. Wrath is an offensive aura that grants your minions tons of added lightning damage for their attacks. Precision is another important offensive aura. It grants your minions tons of accuracy rating and critical strike chance. Clarity Aura provides mana regeneration necessary for comfortable gameplay. Adjust the gem levels for your needs. Even if you don't use regular haste, you can still use the Val version of this skill to grant tons of attack speed for your minions upon use. The Enlighten support lowers the reservation cost of auras. Without it, you will have to use lower gem levels of clarity and precision, which can be offset with related modifiers on your gear. Spirit Offering is a short buff that consumes corpses in order to activate. It grants your minions tons of critical strike chance and damage. Desecrate spawns corpses that can be used for offerings and activate the Plaguebringer Notable. The Conductivity Curse massively reduces the lightning resistance of your enemies. If your mercenary wears the Doriani's prototype armor, you should use Defensive Curse instead. You will need to allocate the Whispers of Doom Notable to use the Assassin's Mark skill. It empowers the critical strikes of your minions and grants them a chance to generate power charges. You will have a lot of utility skills, but you can automate them with just one button press thanks to this brand. If you are limited by your budget, we recommend using a 4-link setup and casting the Assassin's Mark manually. as it is only necessary against particularly dangerous enemies. The Animate Guardian minion wears the items of your choosing, consuming them in the process. It can be used to grant many useful bonuses. You won't lose your items upon his death now, but it won't be active for the map he died in. Ray's Spectre summons fallen enemy or special ritual corpses as your minion, which can grant you various buffs. This version of the build does not focus on minion survivability, so this setup is optional, as they will easily die in challenging content without high investments. Immortal Call lowers the incoming damage by a certain percentage. You can also use the steel skin for an absorption shield instead. We recommend keeping this gem set up at the lowest level possible to trigger as soon as you start taking damage, but higher levels are good too. Frostblink is an instant teleport that leaves chilling ground in both locations. It also triggers the elemental equilibrium, inflicting lightning exposure. Killing all bandits for one additional passive point is the best option, but you can also help Alira to get extra resistances. For your major Pantheon power, we recommend picking the Soul of the Brine King, as it grants you immunity to freeze and prevents stun locks. The minor Pantheon power is more flexible. The Soul of Shikari greatly helps with poisons, which is especially valuable if you still have low chaos resistances. The leveling process with this build is very easy, to the point that many players choose to complete the campaign with this skill with minimal minion investments on the passive tree and transition to their main builds later on. Since you will heavily specialize into minion damage on your passive tree since the very early levels, the leveling process should be very fast and effortless for you, as long as you remember to update your weapons regularly. The final passive tree is quite typical for a minion build, except that you will need to pick up a bow mastery to significantly lower the cooldown of your main skills. The closest bow mastery is quite far away from other minion notables, but you will pick a lot of useful defensive notables that grant you maximum life or spell suppression, so it is not that wasteful. The critical strikes for minions are quite hard to scale since there are very few sources of it, but even with that in mind, they are a very good way to massively improve your damage. Remember to get enough accuracy for your minions, as missed attacks deal no damage after all. If you want to use Spectres, you might need extra investments into minions' life, resistance, and recovery. You will also need the Death's Attunement, notable for a higher Spectre limit. If you don't have the currency for the quite expensive minion cluster jewels, don't hold your passive points empty. There are many useful minion notables in close proximity, which are not picked simply because they are not as effective as jewels. That concludes today's guide. If you have any questions left, please ask them in the comments. Thank you for watching, and we wish you a great day.